Hi everybody and welcome back to the Creative Kindergarten YouTube channel. My name is Amanda and today I wanted to show you a new product that I have up in my Teachers Pay Teachers store, and it's My Coding Story. I got really excited about this product a couple months ago and I made a print version of it. I will put a link for that in the description for you if you'd like to take a look at it, if you'd rather have it in a print copy. But through the chaos that is the 2020-2021 school year, I figured I would also make it into a product that can be used for Google Slides. This can be used for distance learning, or it can be used in your classroom if you are in person as well. It's just a great tool to be able to use to work on different story elements with your students. So the story elements of characters, settings, problem solutions, or the plot of a story, and also incorporate some coding into it. I thought it would be a really great way to work on those beginner coding skills, but also work on those storytelling skills as well. And I'm really excited for this one. But I thought I would do a little walkthrough of it as well so that you could get to know the product. And if you're not super familiar with using Google Slides products, I thought that this little maybe mini tutorial on how to use the product would be helpful for you. Or if you've never used a Google Slides product with kindergarten students or some younger students like grade 1 students, maybe I can give you some tips and tricks on how to use it with them as well. I think this product would be great for kindergarten students, but also for maybe some grade 1 or grade 2 students as well, because you can make it as basic or as complicated as you want them. So like they can add more detail as they're getting older. For kindergarten students, it can be something that you're doing really basic with them, and maybe just like one-word answers instead of having like paragraphs or sentences to answer the questions. So just depending, again, on the skill level of your students, you can differentiate this activity for them, which I really liked as well. So when you first get a copy of the coding story, you can decide if you want to have this assigned as an individual thing that students do. So maybe if you are doing this with like grade 1, grade 2 students who are used to using Google Slides, maybe this is just an assignment that you give them and they have their own copy of this. If you're using it with kindergarten students, this can also be whole group. So you can do this as like a lesson input, and you can write the story as a whole group or maybe a small group activity to work with like a designate little number of students. And if they really enjoy doing the activity and you've already gone through it once with them, maybe then you assign it to them to do it individually if they would like to make another story as well. So you can come at this activity in a number of different ways depending on the needs of your students and your classroom. And so I think that's what's another really great way to use like these digital products. So for the first page, you would I've put all the text boxes in it. So all you would have to do is type your first name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it as in I was doing this assignment. If you see me leaning down, I just have my laptop next to me as I'm recording. So the first page is just so that you know what student story this is. And then I've also included a slide with instructions. So if you need a refresher on the instructions, or if you're assigning this to some students, at least they have the instructions in a slide so that they can take a look at it, and they can, if they're running into any issues, they can read the instructions as well, so that they can figure it out on their own. And then after the instructions side, again, we're doing the story elements. And so they get to pick, or as a whole group or as a small group, get to pick what setting you would like your coding story to take place in. I've also included in the top right hand corner of every slide, I've included like what they should be doing on that slide, as well as like mini instructions, just to make sure that they aren't getting lost in all of the different slides that they have. So now they can pick if they'd like to go to the mountains, to the forest, space, farm, ocean, or the desert. So let's say we're picking, all your students want to go to the ocean. I've actually hyperlinked each of the words so that it brings them to those set of slides. So there are 6 set of slides, and all the slides are the same for each setting. It's just the background has changed to match the setting that they've picked. So if you choose the ocean, you're going to see the slides have a background with sharks, and it looks like some seaweed in the background. But let's say, I think this one before it is the farm, this one has a farm background. So it's the same set of slides for each of the settings. It's just the actual background of the slide has changed. You can prompt students to delete all of the slides that they're not using, or just to make, like if they're using the ocean slides, you can delete all the other 5 setting slides, or you can just leave them. You just would have to scroll and figure out which setting they picked when you're reviewing their stories. But the first slide that comes up when they pick their setting is going to be the character slide. So they get to pick the main character for their story. If for whatever reason your students don't like the characters that are pre-chosen, these are all movable. So they can pick one of these characters and move it over here, and then they would name this character. Let's call her Susie, let's say. But let's say they really wanted to have their main character be a fish. Again, if you do this with your students, or maybe they know this trick already, or this is something that you can show them, if you search the web on the images, you can search for, let's say, a fish. And then images of different fish will come up, and maybe they'll pick this fish. And you can insert this fish onto the slide. And now that can become the character that they use for their story. It won't have necessarily like the background removed, but for children that's fine. If they want to pick, let's say, that kind of character as well, they can search the internet for their own character. For today, I'm going to use Susie. So now that we've picked our character, we're going to go to the next slide. And in the next slide, we're going to choose the problem or the conflict that is going to happen in the story. So this story takes place in the ocean with Susie, and what is going to happen to Susie in the ocean? I don't know. She is going to find a hurt shark. Susie finds a hurt shark. And this way, you can tell the students to find a problem to the story. It can be a really detailed problem, like Susie finds a hurt shark. The shark has, I don't know, a hook stuck in one of its fins, and there is blood, or whatever the problem is. So they can expand on this, or you can keep it tight depending, again, on the age and capabilities of your students. I'm going to keep it really simple just for, the purposes of this video, to not make it too long. And so then once you have the problem, we also need to find the solution for the story. So Susie finds an adult to help the shark get better. So now that we've gotten the solution to the story, again, expand it, keep it tight, whatever your students need, the capabilities of your students. Now the fun part of this comes with the coding aspect of their story. I've, again, included a set of instructions for your students in case you're just assigning this off for them on their own and they might not know what to do next. But what they can do next is create a coding story. So now we have Susie, who is going to come over here, and she is the start. We're starting with Susie. And so I've made all of these images movable so they can pick, again, their character. If they picked, one from the internet, they'll have to just go and research or copy and paste the image from their character slide and put it here, or they can just insert it again. But I've just picked Susie, and I put all the characters up here that I've had in that previous character slide. And I also have some of the arrows that they could use for their story. The end of the story is that the shark gets the help that it needs and it feels better. So they can place these anywhere they want. They're creating their own coding story. Again, they can add their own images. So I'm going to find a shark. Oops, I added it from the computer. You don't want to add from the computer. You want to add from the web. So I'm going to look up shark, and I'm going to find an image of a shark that I like. I don't know, maybe it's this hammerhead shark over here. And then again, you can insert it, resize it, and place it over here. You can also add obstacles to your code that Susie has to go around, again, just by adding images. By searching the web, maybe she has to swim around the seaweed to be able to help the shark. Again, if you're doing this as a whole group activity, you might be calling on different students to add to the story. Maybe they want to put in different details while you're creating the story or things like that. So you might be calling on one student that said, oh, the shark's hurt. Maybe the next student is going to talk about how the shark got hurt, and just keep adding to the stories. So let's put a couple of different seaweed pictures to create obstacles in our coding story, so that when Susie is swimming to go help the shark in our code, that she has to swim around the seaweed. So now I've got the start, I've got my end, and I put some obstacles. Again, those are optional. You don't have to put obstacles. It just creates a little bit more depth to your coding story. And now Susie needs to get to the shark. So now we need to put the codes for the arrows that Susie will need to get to it. So you're just going to have to move around some of these arrows. And in the previous section with the instructions, I do explain how you can rotate the different arrows to match what you need. So we're going to put that arrow there. It's not exactly straight. And then we're going to do this. And then you can also explain to students how they can copy and paste some of the arrows in case they need more than what's available to them on the slides. And then they just keep going until they have created their coding story. And then we're going to probably need another one of these guys to get to the end. So again, just a really basic coding story. You can make it bigger. You can ask them to have at least 6 obstacles. Maybe they have to stop at 2 different points. So she starts at the start, and then she has to get to the shark, and then she has to get to the adult for help. So maybe that there's 2 points that you have to code to, or 3 points, however many points. You put a number of obstacles. You again can differentiate it based on the needs of your students and how you're going about teaching coding, how young they are or how advanced they are in their coding skills. And then the last slide is going to be, you know, writing out your full story. So I put on the last slide here to make sure that you're using the setting, the character, the problem, the solution from all your previous slides, and now you're putting it together and actually writing out the story of Susie and the shark. So I put a spot here to put the title. And then down here, they can go and speak to all of the different elements that they put in their story, and they can just tell the story of Susie saving the shark. So that is your coding story on Google Slides. I will put a link to this product. I will put a link to this product in the description of this if you would like to take a look at it. I think it's just a really fun activity to do. It'd be really fun to make these as a whole group and maybe get your students like really excited about storytelling and coding and seeing the correlation between telling a story and also how that story can be translated into code and into directions. And that's like the basics of coding, right? Like, how are you going to give something a set of directions in order to complete it? Same thing for a story. You're starting at one end and finishing at another. So if you like this, make sure you go and check it out in my Teachers Pay Teachers store. If you are enjoying videos like these from my YouTube channel, I like to make little tutorials like these, little things to showcase different things that you can do as an educator in your classroom. Make sure you are subscribed to my YouTube channel. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button. If there's any other things that you would like to see from this channel or any other questions you have about this resource, make sure you leave a comment down below. Thank you again so much for joining me, and I will see you all next time.